Welcome to Wine Club. This is the playlist where I drink good wine while I whine about bad books. And today's offender is People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd, which I got as an add-on to one of my Book of the Month orders. Like I say in all my reviews, this is solely about the book, not about the author or authors, as it were in this case, as this book was co-written by a husband and wife duo. Good for them. I'm really happy for them that they got their book published, but I just didn't like it. I have a few thoughts. Also, warning you now that there are going to be spoilers for this book in this review. So like I said, I got this as an add-on as the book sounded quite intriguing, and I know books about Instagram influencers can be kind of polarizing to the book community, but I don't mind books that feature influencers when it's done well, which I'm not sure it was done well here. But let's go ahead and see what the book promised to be about. To her adoring fans, Emmy Jackson, aka @the_mama_bear, is the honest Instamum who always tells it like it is. To her skeptical husband, a washed-up novelist who knows just how creative Emmy can be with the truth, she is a breadwinning powerhouse, brilliant at monetizing the intimate details of their family life. To one of Emmy's dangerously obsessive followers, she's the woman who has everything, but deserves none of it. As Emmy's marriage begins to crack under the strain of her growing success and her moral compass veers wildly off course, she becomes more vulnerable to a very real danger circling ever closer to her family. In this deeply addictive tale of psychological suspense, Ellery Lloyd delves into the dark side of influencer culture, technology, and the way we live today. A perceptive and chilling look at the perils of parenting online, People Like Her explores our desperate need to be seen and the lengths we'll go to be liked by strangers. It asks what and whom we sacrifice when we make our private lives public and ultimately lose control of whom we let in. Ugh. So I added this to my November to be read pile as I was doing NaNoWriMo, and I needed quick, easy books as most of my time would be spent writing. And I thought, given its size, that this would be a super quick read and I'd fly right through this. I thought wrong. Well, I guess it was somewhat of a quick read, but it was a slog to get through. I thought it would take me like 2 nights max. And my God, I just had no desire to pick it back up. But I'm not a quitter, so I kept reading it, and it was not great. I cannot stand how many books are like classified as thrillers these days when they're not thrilling. This was really more like domestic suspense or mystery. Most of it was boring, and we're simply following this terrible influencer around. I have absolutely no idea what Emmy's motivation is, besides money, which she doesn't even really seem to care about that. Like, at times, she doesn't even seem to like her kids and is very content to use them as content. I didn't like Emmy. I didn't like her husband Dan, and I felt horrible for her kids. I expected so much more from this. Like I said, this is boring. So boring and slow and unbalanced. It's written like Emmy is hiding a big secret and, she can twist the truth, which maybe it's not the best to be in the spotlight then and share your life with millions if you're hiding something. But then it's not that, and she's just... what? I never understood her. Does she want to be famous? Maybe. Does she want to just be a mom? Maybe. Does she do whatever it takes to get what she wants? I guess. Whew. It just really read like there was going to be like a big twist that would reveal something about Emmy, and we never got it. The book switches between the point of view of Emmy, Dan, and then an unnamed stalker. The really weird thing is the stalker's point of view starts under Dan's. Why not just give them their own heading? I mean, whatever. The stalking portion should be tense, and we should be scared. But the stalker's plan was so convoluted and relied on the character realizing they're in a book, and the authors will line up the plot just so so that they can carry out their plan. It was kind of ridiculous. But at least I understood the stalker's motivations somewhat. So again, major spoiler warning and content warning. If anything involving child death, infertility, or someone unaliving themselves is a trigger for you, please skip to this time point to avoid a discussion of it. Please take care of yourself and avoid any content that might be harmful for you. Okay, so we find out the stalker is fine murdering an innocent child to get her revenge on Emmy. But at least there's some motivation there. Like, we find out that the stalker's daughter was a fan of Emmy's and took some terrible advice and ended up killing her own child by co-sleeping with her. And then the daughter takes her own life because of it. It is extremely tragic. But the loss of that child felt a bit extreme. It wasn't that the mother rolled over during the night on her baby and smothered her. It was that the stalker's daughter had really long hair that got wrapped around the child's throat. It just felt a bit gratuitous and felt like it was in there for the shock value instead of actually being a part of the story. I didn't like it. It really gave me the icks. And so the stalker's big plan is to lure Emmy to a house, drug her, and then let the baby die the same way the stalker's grandchild did. It was something. But it doesn't work. Dan figures out that something is wrong and is able to find Emmy quite quickly and save her and their son. But it was written like the son had died due to the stalker's revenge plan, but then he's fine in the epilogue? So, what? How? Lastly, under this content warning, there's a whole subplot of Emmy trying to get a job on television, and she ends up stealing her best friend Polly's really heartbreaking story about her struggles with infertility and miscarriages. Polly opens up to Emmy, and Emmy reads the email that Polly sent her word for word to win a hosting gig for a show about miscarriages, which she herself has no real experience with, because she's the perfect woman who had no problems with her pregnancies or taking care of her newborn children. It was really gross, but my biggest question was, why was Polly still friends with Emmy? Sounds like Emmy cut any normies out of her life and only hung out with other influencers. Why does Polly even give her the time of day? So the ending is bad. I just felt like the authors expected the other would write the ending and then they had to rush to get through it together. It's just really sloppy. It made no sense and it left things unfinished. We get a so-called twist about a subplot that was stupid and a waste of time. Emmy gets a new assistant, Winter, who we find out staged a break-in so she could hide a laptop that had access to all of Emmy's stuff, and then she was selling photos of Emmy's kids to people who like to create fake accounts? What? The writing itself is also very rambly and monologue-y. I know those aren't words, but I don't care because that's the best way I can use to describe this book. Both Emmy and Dan spend a lot of time thinking their thoughts and not really doing much. I guess I just don't understand the point or what this book was trying to say. I don't understand the characters' motivations. I don't really care about either of them. I don't understand them. I don't know why they do the things they do. Therefore, I don't know why I should care. So there's one good thing, I guess, about the book. And that's how Emmy does a 180 compared to other influencers and isn't trying to be perfect and showcase how amazing her life is. And aren't you just jealous? She's actually making things look worse than they are to be more relatable. Hashtag Rachel Hollis. It was an interesting way to show the influencer lifestyle, but it's not enough to combat the other flaws in this. The premise had such potential, as did the characters, but it's kind of wasted here. There's hardly any plot. It's more just, this happened, and then this happened, and this happened. And on top of very little plot, everyone sucks. Like, again, I mostly feel terrible for the kids and anyone who's in their lives. So again, I want to give a content warning as this book deals with miscarriages, infertility, and the death of an infant. If those are triggers for you, really do stay away from this book. All in, I gave this 2 stars. It was pointless, kind of infuriating, and quite frankly, boring. My time was wasted reading this. I really don't think I'm going to be seeking anything out by Ellery Lloyd again. I've seen a few of their books pop up on like the book outlet, so they're like $5-6. That's $5-6 I don't want to spend because I am terrified that my reading experience is going to be as bad as it was reading this, and it's just not worth my money or my time to invest in an author that did not really like the first interaction I had with them, and they didn't give me a compelling enough reason to keep trying. So tell me, have you read any good books about influencers lately? Please share your recommendations in the comments below, as I would love to read a good influencer book. Otherwise, I'll see you next time at Wine Club.